My name's Aziza. I run General Assembly in Singapore. We're a tech education company, and we try to bridge the gap between traditional education and what modern employers want. Tech permeates every single industry, and it's going to change the way every single industry operates. So we do a lot of community events in areas like food tech, in how tech is being used in finance, in how tech is being used in government, in CPG brands, even in fashion. So we try to reach out to a very wide audience. And the nice thing about community events is that sometimes when you don't know anything about tech, you might feel a bit intimidated to come to, say, a dev meetup, etc. Whereas one of these things, it's quite open, and we try to create this friendly environment where you can come in, you can learn about what's going on in your industry and how tech is changing the industry. We've got these monthly event series called Tech and X. So it could be Tech and Legal, which is what we're doing in May. So if you're a lawyer, you could come in and learn about how tech is going to be changing the world of the legal industry. So I think there is going to be a portion of jobs that are going to be lost to AI and automation, but I also think that we as humans will be doing more rewarding work. We won't be doing more, we won't be doing any more like monotonous work, etc. Like when ATMs were coming out, a lot of people were really, really worried that people were going to lose their jobs. And it was true, like the number of bank tellers per branch fell, but what happened was that it made it a lot cheaper for banks to basically open up new branches. So the number of branches increased. And today, if you go to a bank, the people who are at these branches, they don't just hand you wads of cash. They kind of tell you how to invest your money, what kind of financial products that they have. So the kind of skill sets that they have, that they need to exercise in their jobs, it just goes a bit higher. So I feel like it's always about technology is going to just keep pushing things higher. What you need to have is an educational institution that's going to help people upskill at the pace of industry, basically. And it's like what is happening with driverless trains, right? Like when we first had the SMRT, I think in the 80s, like all the trains were with drivers, and a lot of the trains don't have drivers. So what they kind of do is that they learn how to work behind the operations controls and stuff. So, I don't know, if you have driverless cars, maybe you might be working in fleet management, you might be working in a whole bunch of other stuff. What makes me optimistic about the future is that I feel that we humans are quite resilient. Whenever we have problems, and this has happened, in the first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, everyone thought that people were going to lose their jobs. When diseases hit, etc., I feel like we always find a way to come together and find a solution. I know that's insanely optimistic, but I feel like that's what keeps me going. I'm a very optimistic person, and I think that, when we have problems, we're just going to have some of the smartest people in the world coming together and solving these things, which is why I think it's really important that the smartest people work on some of the hardest problems, and I think there should be more people working in education. So what makes me optimistic about that is, when it comes to specifically to say tech jobs and where GA is placed, I feel like the tech industry is a little bit more democratic. So, you could have come from a very different background, and if you've got the right skill sets, people are usually more accepting. Now, I know that it's not the same in all companies, as we've seen in the media. There's stuff about certain companies coming out where they've not been as accepting. But what I've seen with tech employers in Singapore is that they're quite open to things. You could be a career changer. You could have done something wrong when you were a teenager. You could have fallen on the wrong side of the law, but you might have just cleaned up, and when you acquire a tech skill, you could go do that job. And I feel like the tech industry is just a little bit more open and embracing compared to, say, certain traditional industries where if you had a record, it's just going to be a lot harder for you to find a job. Here, there's just a bit more second chances, I guess. And I think that makes me positive. And I think with tech, there's a lot of improvements that can be made to how we live and work and interact with each other, right? Like in terms of our lifespans, us coping with diseases, the way we move, how safe you feel on the streets, and the fact that, if your parents were like 5,000 miles from you, you could still be contacting them. So I think like tech has a lot of good in our lives. It's just about how we use it and how we harness that. So I feel like tech should always remain a tool and never the master. I think it's when you start letting things control your life, that's when it becomes really hot. If you look at Singapore, the thing that worries me the most is that a lot of traditional sector jobs are going to be lost. And how do you ensure that people have the kind of skill sets they need for the modern economy, and how do they stay relevant? Some of the other things that kind of worry me slightly is about what's going on right now, with people just becoming slightly more xenophobic, with people not seeing other people as human beings, but along racial and religious lines. So I feel like how we land up in 20 to 25 years really depends on how we deal with some of the problems that are going right now. We could either be on the right side of history or the wrong side of history, and our children 20 to 25 years later are going to be judging us for that.